Welcome everyone. Good to have you here on Sonic Tonic Experience. My name is Darren Kramer, and we have a very special guest today, our one and only Wil Swindler here in Denver, Colorado. Woo! We're only about 10 minutes apart maybe right now. Kind of a neat opportunity to reach out and collaborate with different musicians, even though we can't play live gigs. So it's exciting to have you here. Thanks for making the time. And
thanks for having me.
Let's jump right in. What are you drinking today?
Starting with the Four Noses About Damn Time, which I think is their flagship IPA. And the people who know me know that I like IPAs are my favorite. I like it. The more a beer tastes like a houseplant, the happier I am. and so most breweries, unless they specialize in something else, I always get their main IPA that they make, and that's kind of like whether it's worthwhile to get involved with. But yeah, they make mostly IPAs there, which you were there last night, right? So you had.
I went there specifically because we discussed what your favorite beers are right now. They kind of rotate a little bit, but they're generally in this category of IPAs. So we live like 10 minutes away from Four Nose Brewery, so I headed over there and got a 6-pack.
I got to pour mine.
Oh yeah, do you have a glass or you?
I do, and I was trying to decide which pint glass to get because I'm a super duper nerd.
Oh yeah,
all the nerdiest ways that you can be. And I was like, I know I have a pint glass that's appropriate for this occasion. And I reached for my 2007 Rockies World Series pint cup or pint glass, and I was like, well, okay, that's too obvious. And then I was like, oh, I know what I'll do. Since Darren grew up in Longmont and I lived in Longmont, I'm going to get my Left Hand Brewery.
Nice.
So I started to pull that out, and then I remembered this one, which is a gig that you and I played together in 2009, the microbreweries for the environment that we played with Onda. It was the Latin grass gig that we played together. I hope you got paid eventually. It's 10 years old. It's a gig that you and I played together a long time ago.
I was just up in Netherlands a couple times in the last few months, and for some reason I always think of you for the Frozen Dead Guy days that we played in a tent with this Latin band, and it's freezing cold and windy, and yeah.
It's a thing. I did that gig again last year just for the fun of it. They asked me to go up, and I wasn't really busy at the time, and I was like, it's just such a weird gig. It's kind of worth doing just because it's so weird. And so I went up and did it. And I got like a $40 parking ticket because it was snowing so bad you couldn't see where to park and where not to. So I parked with a bunch of other cars, and they gave me a ticket in Netherlands. I'm like, what's happening? Anyway, Frozen Dead Guy forever.
Hey, we opened up. You guys heard us playing a classic bebop tune called Donna Lee, key of A flat. For those of you keeping track, that's like kind of the standard key for instrumentalists, and I thought that'd be a good opener because Wil is such a consummate alto saxophonist. I mean, he's been playing his whole life and taking this thing seriously. Went to University of North Texas and lived in New York for a little bit, and then has been out here in Colorado for years. When did you move here?
2006. So we're coming up on 15 years next spring.
Nice. Yeah, now you're a real staple here in the music community, and honestly, I feel like, especially hearing you just play this, it's so steeped in tradition, and I think all of us that know you feel that from your playing too. When did you kind of feel that you fell in love with that sound of bebop and hardcore swing jazz?
Well, first of all, that makes me very happy to hear you say that, because it is something that I've spent a lot of time, like, you know, but it probably would make my first jazz teacher even happier, because that was a really important value that he instilled in me at the time. His name is Elias Hasslinger. He still is a great saxophonist in Austin. And I started studying with him when I was a sophomore in high school, and it was my first like serious, you know, jazz teacher. And he just immediately just started drilling it into me. It's like, you've got to have this tradition in your playing. You've got to listen to this. And, you know, he opened me up to all the cats who I hadn't heard of yet, and got me out of the basic things. But he definitely like drilled it into me that it's like, you have to go through the tradition. You need to have influences. You need to have, you know, people should be able to tell who you like when they listen to you. like you're not gonna like sound like them. Obviously, they're the greats and things, but it's like people should be able to like hear you play and say, "Oh, you listen to this, 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 and this," you know. And so anyway, it makes me very happy because I've worked very hard, to, you know, in doing that. He gave me my mission. I've been working on that mission since 1993.
Now
it's ongoing too. So
it does never end, and that's one thing about being a musician. It's cool. It is open ended, and you can do it your whole life. My dad just turned 81 years old. He's still playing saxophone himself.
Yep.
It's very cool where you can keep getting better, and a lot of times there's not some physical restrictions like physical activity as sports and stuff. I just wanted to ask one question about that. What made someone like you, what did you love about it when you heard Charlie Parker? Instead of feeling like, oh yes, your teacher's telling you you have to do this, why did you actually listen to it and practice so much?
That's a really great question. I mean, I obviously love Charlie Parker, and Charlie Parker is great, and the older I get, the greater he seems to me. But the sound that really like made my heart flutter, that made me like get interested, was Cannonball Adderley. And also those of you who spend any time with me know that I talk about Cannonball on a daily basis. But I mean, Cannonball's tone and sound just, it just really, really like made me get excited about the saxophone, made me get excited about playing jazz. I didn't really ask any other questions of just like, oh my God, I love that noise. Let's get involved with that noise. I'd already been playing saxophone for quite a while at that point. But yeah, that's what really got me really excited about learning to play jazz. And you know, I mean, for any of us who do this, like once you start getting into learning how to improvise and getting there's so many different, just sort of like internal pleasure points that you hit when you're improvising, because you're doing some self-expression thing, which always feels great, and it really makes your time on earth feel better. And then on top of that, like my brain loves solving problems. Like I'm always like, every activity I undertake is one where it's like, dude, okay, this is what I need to accomplish. Let's make a list of all the things that I need to do, and then and then really start like worrying after it. And and the bebop language is so complicated and specific that it's just this long list of unending problems, and it requires tons of like accuracy and control. And it's like the border collie brain in here was just like, when it just fits in there, like of all the problems I get to solve and the self-expression that comes along with it and the sound that you make is just like, wow, this is great. So it kind of it registers with like all the parts of me that are already here. So it's, it's something I was very attracted to.
Yeah, that is so cool. Do you think, I'm actually reading a book right now called Personality Isn't Permanent by Ben Hardy, and it's very intriguing. I've been reading this guy for 2 years, just came out with this book last week, and it's this concept that your personality is always changing and can be transformed by what you do. Every time you do something, you're confirming your identity. But a lot of people just think you're how you are, and that's it. You were dealt these cards, and you're a shy person, and you like to spend time alone practicing your sax and analyzing this thing. What's your thought on that?
I'm immediately intrigued by that book, because it's like, you mean I could get out of here? I don't have to be like this for the rest of my life.
I'm gonna drink to that.
Yeah, right. So, no, books like that, ideas like that are really, I mean, they're cool, and it's it's always exciting to get involved with the self-improvement type stuff, or at least the self-alteration, where you could maybe look at it a different way. I've been stuck in the way I am for quite a while, but
do you think? I guess it's that there's some people that like punk rock. There's some people that like country. There's some people that only like singer-songwriter kind of stuff. I tend to like jazz, and I really love funk. And I love the complexity of those, the syncopation and the language that you're talking about, the advanced harmony. Do you think, in general, though, that all of us that hang out together as jazz musicians, are we a certain type?
Definitely. You got to like enjoy complexity, and there's got to be like a little bit of like subversiveness in you to want to do it. There's got to be like, something that that doesn't enjoy the same thing that already happened. Like you're looking for variety, and enjoys surprises, enjoys like, the spontaneity of what might happen, like being able to, have to deal with something on the fly that has changed, or something that is occurring that you can't control, or
That's so spot on. I agree with that 100%. That's a perfect segue. Let me pull this up, and I just want to, on Sonic Tonic here, I like to go a little deeper on some subjects, so I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes here on this Donna Lee track. And you're looking at Ableton Live. You can see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled Will's saxophone track in there, and then this was a play along that he played Donna Lee to. That's the song you heard when we first opened the show. Here it is. That's cool. I like separating these elements, and you might think, oh yeah, jazz is just this bunch of rambling kind of busyness going on. But if you listen to something 5 times, 25 times, maybe 500 times, it starts to make more sense. So it's just like an eloquent sentence. So this kind of thing is fascinating to both of us, I believe. It's just like we're listening. There's the background. Are you paying attention to that cymbal? There's bass in there and piano. Here's the sax. So it's kind of neat to concentrate on these different elements because they all make up the greater whole. Talking about being creative, I'm all about this Ableton Live thing. I'm all about technology. I have been for most of my life. I don't know why. I haven't really chosen it. I like straight ahead jazz, but then I like the funk thing and doing something a little different, a little modern. So I quickly pulled in some of these hip hop loops.
I can't wait to see what you do. Oh man, I'm so excited.
And so we have this, and then listen how the feel changes and how it makes you feel as you're listening to this. That's different. So one thing that's interesting to point out is you can just mix and match things, like you pull something out of your cupboard and you mix it with this one and you create something new. Or you can put a little thought into it or a little bit of time, and all of a sudden you start crafting it. And it's this thing where some things are better than others, right?
Oh, no. Mardi Gras.
It's not really Mardi Gras. That's James Brown.
Yeah.
So there's this really neat thing that I messed with just a little bit, and I'm going to show you. I'm highlighting all of these drum loops, and I'm going down here and turning on a thing called follow actions. And what it's going to do is play any of these loops for like one round of the loop, and then it'll go to some other one. So it's always switching.
Oh, wow.
So I can start it like on, say here, and it'll only play a little bit. Now it moves to this one. That's actually when the levee breaks,
Nice.
Led Zeppelin.
All right.
Now for some traditionalists, they would maybe go, you're bastardizing this thing, you're committing a sin. But I try to look at it like that's already been done. Maybe you mix and you're actually paying homage to this and going, how cool to have this kind of sound over this new sound. And, you know, that's sort of a musician's prerogative.
I want to get the date right on Donna Lee, so I'm consulting the Oracle real quick.
Nice.
47 was the original recording.
What was it?
1947 was the original recording.
Nice.
Donna Lee, which is credited to Charlie Parker, who stole it from Miles Davis, who actually stole it from somebody else. So.
And you mentioned, if for those of you that are maybe being introduced to this jazz world without the sax, Charlie Parker's credited with creating like bebop, right? Sort of the father of jazz with Dizzy Gillespie, who plays trumpet. But Cannonball Adderley is a big influence on a lot of people, which Will just said, and then Sonny Stitt as well. And you'll notice in the video when Will was playing, you see on the calendar there, there it is. There's Sonny Stitt. A lot of people don't realize that stuff's going on under the surface. Just like I bet they're thinking, wait a minute, Will, he's thinking about this stuff, this history, or he spent some time, he knows all these details about Sonny Stitt. Yeah. That's how you get good.
Well, these people are my heroes.
Yeah.
I think about them all the time.
Yeah, it's so it's kind of neat for people that are watching this to remember, you walk by a jazz club and someone's playing, they didn't just learn that yesterday. It's this deep-seated, they might have only been playing 2 years, but most likely they've been playing 12 or 30. And it's represented in their playing and the maturity and the way they can communicate with the band members on stage. It's a very deep concept, so it's really neat that you're here watching this, but hopefully we can open your mind a little bit and go, wow, these people are living this thing, which leads us to this point why this quarantine and everything has been such a tough situation for live performers, because that's how we make our living. And it's like, when that gets pulled out, what do you do? You know? So how have you felt? How's it been for you, Will?
Man, first of all, I just want to say it's hard for everybody. Everybody is struggling. There's so many people who are way worse off than I am and than we are as musicians. However, it has been very bad on the arts. Very, very, very bad. Nobody can do anything. Almost everything is canceled. Very few live gigs are going out there. So you got the basic needs where people aren't making money that they needed to make. And it's, as a musician, if you take a bunch of time off to go do some other job, like you start sliding in what you can do, and turns into this recovery thing. So a lot of musicians are hoping it's going to come back. They don't want to go start another career or take on some little job or something to pay the meantime. But a lot of them are kind of being forced to do that. And suddenly nobody's making a living, and all the opportunities are very few and far between. Normally in July, I used to play more than 30 gigs every July. I cut back recently. But back when I was, gigging a whole lot and really making that my main focus, I'd play 30, 31, 35 gigs in July. I have 2 for this July, and that is 2 more than most people have. So yeah,
that's a great segue. I know everyone, if you're sitting here watching, you paid $5 to see this. It's the new format. I figure we at least got to have some sort of entrance fee. This is a lot of work for both of us to put one of these together. But if you feel like you're learning stuff through this thing and you're appreciative, anything you can donate on top of that, we'll give it over to Will and his family, and try to improve his summer a little bit. This is a challenging time, but it's also kind of a mission for growth, I think, which is why I even created this live stream, and it's been really cool. Thanks for being here. Let's move on to this debut video that we're going to premiere here today. Will, tell us about your awesome group, the Elevenet.
The Elevenet has existed here in Denver since 2007 is when I put it together. I started the group under a different name when I lived in Austin, which it existed from 2004 to 2006. But I wrote for this instrumentation more or less at my senior recital at North Texas back in 2001. And I did it basically, I wrote one chart for the nonette from Birth of the Cool, and I wrote one chart for the same instrumentation as the Marty Page Dectet, which are both similar. And both of them, as soon as we sat down and started rehearsing the charts, it was like a light went on and I went, this is what I do. Like it was, I knew I was going to enjoy it, but as soon as we started playing, I was like, yeah, this is, and it's, you know, that was almost 20 years ago that I did that. And I'm still like the Elevenet. I'm like, yep, that's what I write for. That's that group right there. That's the one that I want to do. So I mean, I write big band charts, obviously, and small group things and all sorts of other things and different ensembles, but it's like the Elevenet is like this special one that I do where I handpicked exactly the voices that I wanted to hear based on some of, you know, the things that influenced by Gil Evans and also by lesser known Marty Page. But we got, you know, I play alto and sometimes soprano, there's a tenor saxophone, more, it's like standard jazz instruments, 2 trumpets that are frequently doubling on flugelhorn. Darren plays trombone. And then I've got the 3 weirdos that really make it special, which where I've got my wife April plays bass clarinet in the group, which is a real treat to have that sound in the group. Every time I'm always like, yes, bass clarinet. And then there's a flute chair that's the alto flute and flute. I use both of them quite a bit. And then we also have French horn in the band. So it's like it's kind of the Miles Davis nonette plus a little bit added. I mean, there's added flute and there's tenor and not Barry. There's some switches that I made, but you know, having the stuff that comes from the Claude Thornhill Orchestra and all that sort of symphonic things going on in the 40s, which is where Gil Evans got it, of having French horn in the band, having more reeds in the band and fewer like just brass and saxophones going on. So it's like that's you know, the noise that I liked, and I still, I mean, I think I've written 60 charts for the Elevenet now that we have in the book. It's a huge book that I've been working on for almost 20 years. And I'm just like, I mean, as I was editing this video that we're about to show, I'm just listening to it going, yes, this is what I wanted to do. So yeah, it's basically, it's my voice, my very specific compositional thing. You know, like I said, I write for big band, I do all those other things, and I've got my ways that I do those, but it's like, this is the one that it's like, this is me. This is definitely the unique to me and my idea and the way that I see this and the way that I want to put it together. So yeah.
When do you think you found that?
That was 2001. I did my senior composition recital at North Texas. And I remember the room we were in the building. I remember the second it happened. Like I'm sitting there and we started playing the chart that I wrote that was for the Miles Davis thing. And it was just like a wave goes over me. And like, you know, there's like metaphysical clarity for a moment. And it's like, So
that is,
so yeah,
so
it was very
cool.
specific.
So we've played this tune live just once. Was that at the DU concert that we did a couple years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And so then you had the thought that maybe we should try to do it. We'll have another chance at another whack at it. And we all sent in our own videos from our homes, and you pieced it together. And now we're launching it today on July 2nd. And so let's go ahead and enjoy this, and then we'll get some of Will's comments after we listen. So go grab yourself another beverage. awesome tune, Will. That was a lot of fun. That was really challenging to record it. All of us were kind of talking about it behind the scenes.
Oh, you were? Oh no.
And then I actually featured Gabe Mervine, the second trumpet there, the flugelhorn, and a couple last month for a Sonic Tonic. And here's what he had to say.
Oh no. This is one of the best things that's happened to me this week.
Great saxophone player and a composer here in Denver, Wil Swindler. A lot of you around this area know him. And he has a great group called Elevenet, and 11-piece group kind of in the Gil Evans, Miles Davis genre, but it's all original music and super awesome. We played a lot of gigs around town, and so now we're doing our first video with this whole COVID thing. And we were both laughing about it the other day, just saying, man, that thing is hard. So what is hard about it, Gabe, about something like Wil Swindler's music?
His music is difficult. And I tell this to students. I try and think about music as like not easy and hard, but familiar and unfamiliar. The more I can remind myself of that, like, I don't want to think that something's difficult. It's just new and different. And geez, Will can write some stuff that is new and different. The way the rhythms are read off the page, where the rhythms fall, like that's what was really given me some difficulty. I think it's called Mechanisms is the tune. I was really getting stuck on this one part because it was a group of rhythms or a group of notes set in a rhythmic fashion that I probably had never seen before. So for me to stay on beat, playing along with this MIDI track and not get confused by the other parts I'm hearing at the same time, because another thing that makes Will's music difficult is how everything fits together. And not only that, but when you're recording these videos, it's got to be one take. And I have a really long solo and then a bunch of really hard rhythmic stuff. So I kept playing the intro, the solo, and then I get to this rhythmically difficult spot and go, shoot, oh, I got to start over again. That solo felt so good.
Yeah, I agree with that. And anytime there's hard music, as a composer, it's really neat to put it together. You and I have both written a lot of music, but then you're writing it from this ideal kind of situation. And that's why I'm always a real teacher of live and recording are two different things. They're both...
My God. You know, it's the trade-off of, you know, you get the energy of the live recording, but then it never is as perfect as it would be. And then the studio recording ends up being this like really, really specific documentation of what you did, and the mixing is all right. And if anybody messed something up, you can usually fix it. And you get it just the way it's supposed to be. But then everybody, myself included, I've spent my whole life trying to get as free in the studio as I am on live gigs, where on the gig, I'm just like letting it go. Cause it's like, yeah, once I let this go, it's gone. Everybody heard it and nobody's going to loop it on my tombstone, you know? So it's like, then you're playing the thing and all you're thinking is, this is what anybody would ever hear. And that's the only thing they would ever hear from me. And it better be perfect. It better be everything I can do. And it better be, you know, just like the best thing that anybody's ever heard. So yeah, you can get so up in your head, even if you're pretty good at like, you know, really letting it go and doing stuff. You get in the studio and all of a sudden it's like you're in the operating room with all the lights shining on you. It's like, oh God.
That is so right.
I love Will and I love his music. He's a huge inspiration to me. I took a lesson from him when this quarantine thing first started because I really love the way he writes. And that's why I'll sit there for 2 or 3 hours just to get one good take because it's worth it for his music.
That's a big compliment. Gabe. Yeah, for any composer. Your music is really like a Maria Schneider thing, Pat Metheny, where it's this kind of, there's no defined start and end to different phrases and stuff. It's very cool and not so rigid. And
I always refer to that as horizontal music.
Yeah.
Where it's the music goes this way instead of this way. And both of those you get different kinds of music fit into those categories. But yeah, the thing you're describing, which I definitely do a lot of that and on purpose from those kinds of influences.
And so that's a great point for Sonic Tonic for those of you out there. when you're hearing stuff, it's not by accident. I mean, people have put lots and lots of thought into this. And so I highly recommend you go back and listen to this and think about some of these things that Will has said and what Gabe was talking about, and see if you can kind of assimilate and think about it maybe a different way, instead of like, oh yeah, they sound kind of pretty, you know. There's more depth to this stuff, and you got to give it a little bit of time. So Will, where can they go hear the full version of the video again?
At my YouTube channel, it's pretty easy to get a hold of. It's my last name, Swindler. Swindler Jazz is my YouTube channel. But if you go to my website, there's a link there to get to the YouTube channel. I will put that video up on my website, but I don't have it up yet. So probably the channel's the place to go. But
great.
Yeah, that's where you can go and hear it over and over and over again if you like to do that.
And then you have, so how many albums do you have these days?
There's only one Elevenet record. I also have my the record I did with my quintet called Good Rattle, which Gabe plays in that group also. I've got the Chamber Jazz record, which is the band that I had in Austin. That was kind of like it was the Elevenet, but there were only 10 people in it. We didn't have the flute chair in there. That record's called Chamber Jazz Ensemble. And then I have that Christmas record that I did as a social experiment.
Nice.
That's by far my best-selling record.
Cover tunes, baby.
I did it just to see. I was like, you know what? If we did like a Christmas thing, would we, make the money back and actually make money? The answer is yes, we did. We made money back. All of us who were on the album, made money. It's taken a couple of years, but we all made money on that record, which is all my other ones I've not made money back from sales, at least.
Yes.
So it's like, but anyway, those are the four that I have as a leader. I'm on a whole bunch of others as player, but
sideman. Yeah. Great. And your main website is
WilSwindler.com. Thanks for reminding me that I just said my website, but didn't have.
I wanted you to try to say it through the beer. Okay, let's do something a little different. We're going to listen to a track that Will just did spur of the moment. It's called Bone Chillin'. So it's like chill out, down tempo. So that's where the name is. But also, I play trombone. I go like this. But actually, this is an excruciatingly simple tune, but it's got all this ear candy going on in it, and I really enjoy it, and I think it's fun to play over. So I wanted to hear Will with his kind of cannonball, and actually there's a few moments that sound kind of Paul Desmond, That's
I
like
get that sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a really nice and light, and I knew you'd treat it that way. So this is called Bone Chillin'. I hope you enjoy it. It's Wil Swindler. He's our guest on Sonic Tonic Experience this week. We're both in Denver, Colorado, and that was my tune called Bone Chillin', and just had him play over that and see how it felt, and I think it felt pretty good. What'd you think?
It was fun. I don't know if you remember when you had me do a DKO quintet gig at Nocturne, and we played that tune.
In kind of an acoustic kind of situation.
Yep. Yeah. And when you sent it to me, I was like, oh, I know this tune. We did this. I remember doing the loops. I was like, oh, yeah. That's happening. Yeah, no, so it was a lot of fun. I mean, doing electronic music is definitely outside of what I normally do. And doing, just like all straight eight things like that is outside of what I normally do. However, I do love that music and think it's great. And so it's always fun to, sort of face a different set of scenery to improvise over.
And I like that about you, actually, because, but first of all, the straight eight thing isn't really out of your wheelhouse too much, because a lot of your Elevenet stuff is straight eights.
Yeah.
And also, like you mentioned at the beginning, that we've been in some salsa bands together, and you've played quite a bit of salsa. That is all very straight.
I love playing Latin music. So.
Yeah, Latin music is the thing.
So
it's neat to kind of have these things meld together, and I'm all about sort of you create a new recipe by having a tune that's has some Afro-Cuban influence, and then maybe some bebop, and then maybe some funk, and it creates a new thing, So I want to do a little shift here, and I think it's always very interesting to find that great musicians, they take that mentality of being detail-oriented and creative and wanting to help others and solving problems, and they take that and put that into another side hobby. And so Wil has a couple of side hobbies, and so I think it'd be really fun for you to just kind of tell us a little bit of what they are and how you got into it.
Let's see. So the one that sort of fits the most that it's exactly the same part of my brain that I use for composing music is woodworking, where I started just making stuff out of wood for no reason probably 10 years ago. And then maybe when we moved into the house that we live in here in Thornton, the garage was a little bigger, and it actually already had a workbench in it. And I was like, I'm going to start, getting this going. So I started, getting things going a little more and started doing more projects and things like that. And I really, really enjoyed it. And it's just like this ongoing, like really deep, rich problem solving. And there's just so many, it's so much to learn and so much to get involved with it. When I sometimes don't have time to compose music, like I still need a creative outlet, and I can, I go do that instead. I go build stuff out of wood, and it really does hit the exact same spot in my brain where it's like I'm rarely doing a woodworking project and writing music at the same time. I'm doing one or the other.
That's interesting, because it takes mostly it's because of time, or because your brain can only handle one.
Well, partially it's time, just because I am a dad, and I do have a job teaching at CSU, so my time is limited in that way. But it really is like both of those. When I do them, it's very consuming, and I think I kind of only think about that while I'm doing it, and I can, in the times where, like during the day when I'm working heavily on a chart, or if I'm working on something out there, when I stop doing it, I have a really hard time getting my brain to stop doing it, because it just completely takes over. So yeah, it's like while I'm doing one project, I'm super focused on that project, and until it's done, I can't do the next thing. And since those things are the same part of my brain, there's only, if I'm doing woodworking, I can't write music, can't do woodworking.
I want to hit two parts of that. I love that, and I'm a big believer in it, and getting even more so, that single tasking is the answer. Gabe made a few points about that in a video we didn't show either, but he was saying how practicing, is a great distraction. You're worried about the world, focus on something, being productive that you can share and help people with, and certainly making music, making art, and then making products is... And you're saying you make a lot of stuff for your daughter and for your wife.
Yeah, I make stuff that we need around the house. I'm never making something just for whatever. It's like, oh, you need this, oh, you need that. Like I just finished a potting bench for April, like a basically a workbench for gardening, where you there's a thing for storage and this over here and a nice flat work surface. There's a place where when you're putting the dirt in, it goes down through this grate into a thing that collects it. It's like all the specific stuff for a potting bench, but I made that for her. And I'm building a new a closet reading nook for Annika right now. I have to have so much time to do these things. We're kind of jumping all into it. I built a new like bed frame for our master bedroom. I built a new bed frame for our guest bedroom. I built a new headboard for one of them, where it's just like all this stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do that. I'm about to build a set of cubbies for all my saxophones. That's going to go right back over there in that triangle that you can see right behind me. That's very disorganized and piled with instruments. It's going to be I bought the material when I bought the stuff for Annika's closet. And yeah, it's just whatever we need. That's what I'm building. And
that has so much positivity in it. The creative side, the saving money, the reusing waste.
Which my wife, and that's very important to her. It's really, when I do that, I'm trying to impress my girlfriend. So, and it works. It totally
and
works.
It's working.
No, I believe it too. I believe it too. But she definitely is the inspiration for all that.
Well, then you're with the right person. That's cool. Yeah. I mean, I love that mentality. So let's try to promote that. Point that I think is worth mentioning here is that you've said it now numerous times, the same creative brain, and it sounds like you're getting a lot of the same satisfaction by doing music and woodworking. So it's not about the actual end product, it's about this fuel of this big trait, right? Which is this creative thing, and can you solve this problem?
Right.
You have to have a reason. You have to have a why, and then you'll figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
But you also got to sit still long enough to let yourself go, wait, let me collect my thoughts here. What is an idea? What do I want to do? Instead of just go, 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 which is an interesting positive side of this whole quarantine thing that happened, right? It really made people sit and think about things.
I can't argue with that.
So we're looking at you in your music room and some artifacts from your woodworking. And now tell us about this other interesting side scenario, which is very important because I'm a big component of health and physical exercise. And what's your big passion?
Well, before I became a father, I would play golf twice a week. Like, that was my thing. That's another major problem solving activity. And so it's a lot of fun to do that for me. But then once I became a dad, my time was much more limited, and I needed to find a different, outlet for my, physical activity but something that's creative. And I used to play in college. I wasn't any good, but I remember being really, really interested at this when I used to play racquetball. There was a group of sort of jazz majors at UNT who played when I got there, and they're like, "Hey, come play with us." I'm like, "Okay." So I played, and I remember at one point I said to somebody, like, "This is really a creative opportunity. Like, this is like a thing. You got to think your way through this, and you got to really come up with something and assess the situation really quickly, make a decision, and then try to I remember being really stimulated. And then after Annika was born, I started playing again at the Longmont Athletic Club because they've got some courts up there. And then because I couldn't play golf anymore and because I needed an outlet for these things, I started getting really serious about playing racquetball, and I started basically studying and learning how people play and watching professionals, and more like just looking for online analysis because it's impossible to find a racquetball coach. And I sort of learned how to play, and then I started playing tournaments and doing the thing, and I've been getting better and better and better and better and better, which is good because it's that's what I'm working on and doing. But now it's I usually before the pandemic I was playing 2 or 3 times a week. I was usually playing 1 tournament per month. I built a not a trophy case, but a metal hanging thing that goes on our wall upstairs for me and April to collect our racquetball medals, which is now pretty full. April plays too, and we play as a doubles team, and we've won a whole bunch of tournaments together. And
that's great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's a sport that is stimulating. I mean, it's very physically demanding. It's you end up burning, I think, over 1,000 calories an hour playing that sport, and so you are working while you're playing, but then it's just your brain is just going the whole time. It's just constantly. It's just problem solving at the speed of light. It's just like improvising. It's just like playing music. You're just faced with this rapid fire set of information that you have to sort out, make a decision, solve a problem, and then the next one comes right after that, and the next one comes right after that, and the next one comes, so it fits well and does the things. So
My girlfriend and I, Julie, she's been playing. We've been doing pickleball.
you pickleball people, don't get me started.
And then we just played tennis yesterday.
Cool.
And it's been hard to find these courts. Sometimes we've had to try 5 different places because they're taken. So it's kind of neat that people are going, oh, wait, I need something to do. And you can't go to a restaurant, at least you couldn't a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
And you can't go to movies or whatever. So maybe we'll go outside and get some exercise and play a game, which is very cool, you know?
Well, pickleball is a fun sport. I'm just joking. As racquetball people get older, they start playing pickleball. And pickleball is not just for old people, but
I am older.
you're not that old. But it's like we start losing players, and it's like rec centers start putting their attention on pickleball, and they forget about racquetball and all this. So there's this weird tension between racquetball players and pickleball players. However, I like that game. It's very fun.
You definitely get your heart rate going more than walking down the road. You know? And my heel hurts every morning now, so I know I'm doing something right.
That's funny.
I gotta kill the pain.
There you go. You feel better now? Good. Well, this is a bummer. You're off camera. I didn't realize I was pacing improperly. I already finished.
Oh, wow.
Finished my beer.
So, man, this has been a lot of fun. We're running out of time.
Before we go, though, I just want to say, like, I'm always so grateful for, like, you guys playing in my band. Like, you guys are so damn good. I mean, it's when we were playing more, which, I mean, obviously the pandemic's kept us out, but, like, you know, years ago we used to play fairly frequently, and every time I go and I listen, you guys just knock it out of the park. I mean, I just love it so much, and, like, I mean, I will for the rest of my life be indebted to all of you guys who have played in the Elevenet and done such a great job and playing my music. And like I said, like, it's my voice, it's my thing, it's my life project, and it's nothing without you guys there to play it. And it took me a long time to find the right players and get the people on the band, and I'm very grateful for all you guys making wonderful tones out of the dots I put on the page.
That's very nice, and I know everyone in the band feels that back at you, because it's so neat as a freelance musician it's not common to get a good band with great world-class players to play great tunes that are organized and creative and have a point. And to then have your leadership skills, it's always so efficient. We show up, if it says it's 4 o'clock, we're starting at 4 o'clock, and we do a walkthrough, and you know exactly what you want. That's very, and I'm a leader myself, and I just know I don't have to do anything. I'm just sitting there as the trombone player, and you're going to answer all my questions. I just have to sit there and play, and that's a big benefit as a musician. So
that's how I feel when I've done your gigs. I'm like, Darren's got it. I don't have to worry about a thing. I could just show up and be a sideman and not be like, why is this idiot doing that? It's just like, no, this is good.
Yeah, so it's really kind of like, gravitating toward your mentality and people, and it makes it a lot of fun. So thanks for doing what you do, and keep doing it. And hopefully we can play some live gigs here soon, and take care of you and your family. And if anybody out there can spare a few bucks, please send it there. We're going to finish out with a tune that's dear to my heart. Is the tune that I happen to get Jerry Hay and Gary Grant to play trumpet on back in '97.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
You didn't? Oh, yeah.
No, I didn't know. I played the track, and I was like, oh, the trumpet player sounds good. It's Jerry Hay, you idiot.
And some of those horns then are us also, Jake Boldman, Don, me,
cool.
and Eric Earhart playing. But, yeah, the original track on my first album was Jerry Hay and Gary Grant. And then that's kind of what led me to meet Michael Brecker, and then Michael Brecker ended up playing on my third CD, and it's just all, one thing leads to another. So I thought it'd be neat to hear Will play on some aggressive electro-funk, and then I'm playing my electric trombone and kind of looping some stuff underneath him, and
nice.
It's a lot of fun. So thanks for stepping outside your normal comfort zone.
Always fun.
And I hope you all enjoy this, and please stay safe out there, be positive, and spread some light around the world. We all need it.